Have you ever felt like you'd rather wrestle a wild animal than attend a packed concert or crowded party? If that sounds like you, don't worry. You're not strange, broken, or antisocial. In fact, your brain might simply be working differently and in many ways more intensely than most people realize. Picture this. It's Saturday night. Your phone buzzes with a message. Hey, we're all going to that new spot downtown tonight. It's packed, but the vibe is incredible. For most people, that message sparks excitement. But for you, your energy immediately drops. Your brain starts calculating the noise, the crowd, the forced conversations, the chaotic atmosphere. Suddenly, staying home sounds like the greatest idea in the world. And it's not because you hate people or fun. Your brain just did a quick cost-benefit analysis and decided the emotional and mental cost isn't worth the hype. Here's the important part. You're not the problem. Your mind is simply wired in a way that processes the world more deeply than most. Let's break down what's actually happening inside that complex brain of yours. 1. Your brain notices everything. Most people move through life with a mental filter. When they walk into a busy place, their brain automatically blocks out most of the noise and stimulation. The loud laugh across the room? Ignored. The flickering light in the corner? Filtered out. The dozens of conversations happening around them? Barely registered. Their brain deletes most of that input so they can focus on just a few things. Your brain doesn't do that. Instead, it records almost everything. The subtle shift in someone's posture. The tiny facial expression someone makes when they think no one is looking. The change in tone when someone's voice becomes slightly tense. Even the background music, the lighting, the energy in the room. Psychologists call this sensory processing sensitivity. In simple terms, it means your brain absorbs far more information from the environment than average. Imagine everyone else watching life on an old, low-resolution screen. Meanwhile, you're experiencing the world in ultra-high definition. Every detail is sharper, louder, and more noticeable. Studies suggest that around 20% of people have this heightened sensitivity. That means about 1 out of every 5 people processes the world this way. Your brain isn't overreacting. It's simply detecting more information than most people even realize exists. And it doesn't just collect that information, it stores it. That small interaction from weeks ago that everyone else forgot, your brain saved it for future reference. Not because you're obsessed with the past, but because your mind naturally analyzes patterns and meaning. For most of human history, this ability was incredibly valuable. While others were relaxed and distracted, people with this awareness noticed danger earlier. They spotted threats, sensed changes in the environment, and detected problems before they became disasters. In other words, this sensitivity once helped humans survive. Today, it simply makes crowded environments feel overwhelming. 2. You're not antisocial. You just dislike fake energy. There's a big misconception about people who avoid crowds. Many assume they don't like people, but that's usually not the real reason. What many deep thinkers struggle with isn't social interaction. It's superficial interaction. In large gatherings, a lot of social behavior becomes performative. People exaggerate excitement. They pretend to be more interested than they actually are. They laugh at things they barely find funny. It's almost like everyone is wearing invisible masks. And if you're someone who reads people well, those masks become impossible to ignore. You notice the forced smiles, the fake enthusiasm, the awkward pauses that nobody acknowledges. Your brain constantly interprets what's really happening beneath the surface. Psychologists describe this as high perceptual sensitivity. Your emotional radar is extremely accurate. You pick up on subtle emotional signals most people overlook. Some research even shows that people who enjoy solitude often score higher in emotional intelligence. That means you're not socially incapable. You're actually socially perceptive. You just prefer conversations that feel real. Instead of small talk with dozens of people, you might prefer a deep discussion with one person at 2 a.m. You don't need endless interaction. You need meaningful interaction. And there's nothing wrong with that. 3. Your brain finds reward in different places. Another reason crowds feel exhausting has to do with brain chemistry. Specifically, the way your brain responds to dopamine. Dopamine is often called the brain's reward chemical. For highly extroverted people, social stimulation triggers strong dopamine responses. Loud environments, new people, and constant activity make their brain feel energized. But for many introverted personalities, the brain works a little differently. Instead of relying heavily on dopamine stimulation, the brain responds more strongly to a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is associated with deep thinking, focus, reflection, and internal satisfaction. That means activities like reading, writing, learning, or quietly exploring ideas can feel incredibly rewarding. While others feel energized by external stimulation, your brain finds fulfillment in internal exploration. That's why a quiet evening alone can feel more satisfying than a noisy party. It's not boredom. It's simply a different reward system. Interestingly, brain studies have also found that introverted individuals often have more active regions in the prefrontal cortex. This is the area responsible for planning, reflection, and complex thought. So when it looks like you're doing nothing, your brain may actually be processing ideas, connecting patterns, and imagining possibilities. To others, it might look quiet, but internally, it's incredibly active. For you absorb emotional energy around you. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the emotional atmosphere? Maybe everyone is smiling, but something feels tense. Or maybe the mood feels heavy even though nobody says anything. Some people are naturally very sensitive to emotional signals. Your brain contains mirror neurons, which allow you to understand and reflect the emotions of others. For some individuals, this system is particularly strong. Instead of simply observing emotions, you almost experience them. Spending time in crowded environments can feel draining because you're unconsciously absorbing emotional signals from many different people at once. Excitement, stress, anxiety, competition, frustration. Your nervous system attempts to process all of it simultaneously. That's why even a short social event can feel mentally exhausting. It's like your brain is managing dozens of emotional conversations at once. But this sensitivity also creates a powerful strength. It allows you to understand people deeply. You sense when someone needs support. You recognize unspoken feelings. You notice emotional shifts before others do. That level of empathy is rare and incredibly valuable. 5. Solitude isn't escape, it's self-connection. Modern culture often celebrates constant activity. Being busy, social, and visible is often seen as the standard for success or happiness. But that perspective overlooks something important. Quiet time isn't emptiness. It's space. Space for thinking. Space for clarity. Space for creativity. 5. Solitude isn't escape. It's self-connection. Modern culture often celebrates constant activity. Being busy, social, and visible is often seen as the standard for success or happiness. But that perspective overlooks something important. Quiet time isn't emptiness. It's space. Space for thinking. Space for clarity. Space for creativity. When you're alone, your mind has room to explore ideas without interruption. You reconnect with your own thoughts instead of constantly reacting to external noise. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's the environment where many people discover who they truly are. Some of the most creative ideas, insights, and personal breakthroughs happen in quiet moments. You're not avoiding life. You're choosing a pace that allows you to experience it more deeply. So the next time someone asks, why don't you go out more? Remember this. You're not broken. You're not boring. And you're definitely not antisocial. Your mind is simply built for depth in a world that often celebrates noise. And honestly, that depth is exactly what makes you interesting. Now I'm curious. Are you someone who thrives in big crowds? Or do you feel more at home in quiet spaces with meaningful conversations? Let me know in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, because the next video explores another misunderstood introvert trait, and chances are you'll recognize yourself in it immediately.